Hey friends, welcome to Functional Medicine for Moms, where we take root cause approach to fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, and raising healthy families. I'm your host, Dr. Kelly Moline, a pharmacist and functional medicine consultant. Whether you're preparing for pregnancy, trying to conceive, navigating life with a newborn, or simply looking for practical ways to support your health naturally, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into functional medicine, natural solutions, and honest conversations from our own family's journey, plus interviews with experts along the way. Let's get into it. All right. Ready?
Go for it.
Welcome back to another episode of Functional Medicine for Moms. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Landon.
And we have a special announcement. We're having a
We're
baby.
pregnant.
Okay.
Baby
we're
number
not
2.
pregnant.
Baby number
I'm
2 is
pregnant.
Oh, you're pregnant. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's be clear.
I feel like it's just something people say. They go, "We are pregnant."
Yeah, I think it's wrong because I'm pregnant.
Yeah, I did tell my boss, and I said, "I am pregnant," and it felt weird.
Yeah, well, we live in a weird world nowadays, so it's less of a joke.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, we're having another baby.
Yep. Baby number 2 is on the way.
Yeah, we're super excited. Obviously, we've been talking a lot on the podcast about preparing for pregnancy. And so obviously we talked about how we're in the same phase of life. And so this felt very valid to create. And a lot of my friends were asking questions about preparing for pregnancy for their first. And so I wanted to learn more and implement a lot for my second to optimize the pregnancy, the health of the baby, down the road, labor and delivery and postpartum as well.
Yeah, it was actually perfect timing to create something like that because you were in that season already.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to learn a bunch and implement it as we started trying.
Yeah.
And before that.
The best I could. I mean, it's hard, obviously, in any life, but with a toddler, and I was creating the guide, so I was busy a lot during nap time and after bedtime. So I kept saying okay, after this guide is created, I'm gonna settle down so we can definitely start prioritizing. And yeah, actually right before the guide got released, right before I was finished, we found out.
Mm-hmm.
So very exciting.
You want to say the due date or due time?
Yeah, it's honestly hard to say because everything is still early. I am 8-ish weeks right now, and we're recording in June, and we're going to release this likely in July. And so we're due around January right now, but we'll see because Danielle came early, obviously, and babies come when they want to. But we have had an early ultrasound already, and so we got to see the little heartbeat and everything. And so the early ultrasound put us back about 6 days, but then we went to the midwife appointment this morning. She said she wants to keep the original due date, but I think we'll find out more around the anatomy scan to see what the baby's measuring at then, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, when you say put us back 6 days, you're saying the early ultrasound kind of showed that they were thinking it's going to come 6 days later than we were expecting.
I wasn't as far along as they thought originally, so that's why I've said.
Yeah. Well, if there's anything I've learned after the first one coming 5 weeks early is that babies come on their birthday, and that can be whenever they decide, whenever God decides. I don't know. I don't trust due dates for anything now. I take them all with a grain of salt.
Yeah, for sure. I would like to go at least 37 weeks this time.
Oh, please. Yes.
To have a full-term baby, to avoid the NICU, and hopefully get our home birth, but we'll see.
Yeah, let's avoid the NICU if possible.
Please.
Yes. Prayers for that.
But yeah, we're really excited. So today we're going to talk more about deciding when we were ready. So we'll cover that, trying to conceive the second time, finding out we were pregnant, and then my first trimester so far. So
Sounds good.
let's get into it. So deciding we're ready. Do you want to start, Landon? Do you remember when we kind of started talking about it?
Like we already knew that we wanted like another one at some point. So we had already kind of decided that. I was honestly, I wasn't sure when you'd want to try again, but I think we kind of started talking about. I'm trying to think when we actually started talking about it. We were trying to figure out when would be a good time to have the second. Because I mean, we've talked about like having 2 under 2 and how crazy that sounds, and because as much as I love Danielle, one baby is a lot of work. So I just like, oh my goodness, 2 that are that young is just like sounds insane to me. But yeah, so I think that's kind of where the conversation started. But we really didn't have like a serious conversation about actually starting, I feel like, until you got like your period back and all that kind of stuff. And then we were like, oh, now it's actually now we can if we wanted to. And then we kind of started talking about it.
Yeah. From my recollection, it felt like we finally had our heads above water with Danielle around 9 or 10 months postpartum when she was 9 or 10 months old. But like you said, I didn't have my period back. And that's when I texted my midwife too of like, okay, really don't want to go into preterm labor again. So when could we have another that doesn't put me at risk? And she said, having or getting pregnant after a year could be a little bit safer for me. And so I think around 11 months, we were like, okay, like when it happens, it happens. And I didn't have my period back. And then I got my period back 13 months postpartum. And so, yeah, then it became more real. I could actually track something a little bit more. And yeah, everything started kind of regulating. That's also when I was starting to like wean a little bit more. And then I think that's what caused me to get my period back. 'Cause I am still breastfeeding. I was breastfeeding at the time. I'm still nursing some now. And so, yeah. And we talked about having an age gap on the podcast before. And I think a lot of people really liked the 2 to 3 years age gap. And especially like 2.5 to 3 was like easier. But I think we wanted kids a little bit closer together. But also like 2 to 3 would be great. And then we know with trying with Danielle that it can take some time trying to conceive a baby. And then especially if there are complications like a miscarriage, and Danielle wasn't our first pregnancy. And so she came a year after, we got pregnant with our first, or a year after we were supposed to be due with our first kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I feel like it was more of like a window for me. I mean, you can be like, oh, we'd like it 2 years apart. But for me, I think that was more of like okay, so if we're good with anything like basically 2 years apart, and beyond, because I knew it could take some time, I was like, we should start trying, a few months before that would hit the 2 months or the 2 year mark, a few months, I guess, up to 12 months before that 2 year mark. That makes sense because pregnancy is usually like 9 months. So like, I don't know.
12 months before the 2 year mark? What are you talking about?
I'm saying it wrong. Well, yeah, I mean, because you're pregnant for like 9 months. So if you start trying at like 12 months before Danielle is 2.
I see what you're saying.
Then you basically start trying 3 months before you'd hit that window. I don't know.
Okay.
Basically,
that's
what
a
I'm
lot
trying.
Of math.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a numbers guy. Yeah. No, but basically, I'm just trying to say, yeah, I viewed it as like a window of like, okay, we want a baby 2 years after Danielle, like when Danielle is 2, like that's kind of around the time. So I was thinking if we start a couple months earlier, then that would like
Yeah.
give us a bigger window because it can take time.
Right. And we talked a lot about we didn't want to put as much pressure, or at least this is how I was feeling. I didn't want to put as much pressure on conceiving the second because it felt like with trying to conceive for Danielle, it felt like we were always behind because with the miscarriage and then it trying for a while, we pictured this life of ours with a child like earlier. So it just felt like we're trying to catch up. So yeah, I didn't want it to feel like pressure this time. So that was our decision on when to start trying.
Yeah, definitely wanted to make sure we feel like our heads were above water finally, because like the first 6 months you're just trying to figure it out. I feel like so. But yeah, no, I think I am happy with the timeline that worked out.
Yeah. Hey friend, real quick before we get back to today's episode, if you're hoping to conceive within the next year, currently trying to get pregnant, or wondering if there's more you can be doing to support your fertility, I created something specifically for you. My new Preparing for Pregnancy Guide is a comprehensive resource that walks through the foundations of fertility and preconception health from a functional medicine perspective. We cover nutrition, blood sugar balance, sleep, stress and nervous system support, gut health, supplements, ovulation tracking, male fertility, fertility testing, and even considerations for IUI and IVF. I created this guide because so many couples are told to just keep trying and wait when there are often practical steps you can take right now to support your health and fertility. Whether you've been trying for a few months, are planning ahead, or simply want to feel more prepared before pregnancy, this guide will help you create a clear plan and understand where to focus your efforts. You can find it at molinmethod.com/fertility. And because you're a listener of the podcast, you can use the code podcast25 to save $25 at checkout. All right, let's get back to today's episode. So trying to conceive the second time, so there were different things that happened. One, I had my KEG fertility tracker the second time already, which is what I used to conceive Danielle, but not until like literally right before I conceived Danielle, because the first time I used it is when I conceived. Which I say it in the podcast as like a little promo, but they have a 12-month pregnancy guarantee. So I was like, well, if I don't get pregnant in 12 months, at least I get my money back. And then I got pregnant the first month. I'm like, well, I guess I'm not getting my money back, but now I can use it from I used it again this time right away. So it was really helpful on trying to conceive and trying to track the ovulation. And especially with breastfeeding, because like I said, I'm still breastfeeding. So trying to figure out when I was ovulating, especially with my cycle coming back. Because the first time it came back, my cycle was like 34 days. And then the second time was like 26 days. So that's a huge range. And I'm not good at the ovulation sticks and all of that. So yeah, that was really helpful to use right away, having a tool.
Yeah, I mean, I think because with that tool, we could see like your cycle was a little bit out of, it was all over the place a little bit. I mean, we were trying, but we were like, oh, well, yeah, we'll see what happens. It wasn't a perfect science, I guess. We couldn't like nail down an exact date, but that helped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like we said before, we just try to put like less pressure on it, give it more time. And I was working on the guide, so I had a lot of stuff under my belt on how to do everything appropriately. And then if we weren't getting pregnant, or if I didn't get pregnant within the first 3 months, I was going to schedule the labs that I offer on my website as well. And then we got pregnant. So now I'm getting the labs as I'm getting all of my labs done for early pregnancy. I'm just going to add a lot of those labs in there too, so I can still have the foundational information like my nutrient deficiencies, ferritin level, metabolic health, all of that.
So yeah, again, it's kind of nice that you just finished putting together that pregnancy guide, because now you can literally practice it and put it into practice.
Yeah, preparing for pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was still breastfeeding, which was definitely different than the first time around. But we can jump into some of that in a later episode as well, of like trying to conceive while breastfeeding, because I think that that's an interesting topic. But yeah, it was different, and trying to figure out ovulation was a little bit harder, and just like obviously dealing with a toddler and having a toddler while trying to conceive has its own challenges.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't even sure if you could get pregnant while breastfeeding. So
yeah, and it really depends, like if your cycle is back, and maybe obviously you're not, but you do ovulate before you get your period back, so it is possible to not get your period and jump straight into pregnancy. But yeah, that's like a big factor to tell if you're ovulating and stuff, if your period is back, if you see that. And then finding out we were pregnant.
Finding out we're pregnant, you can't hold a secret to save your life.
No.
So I wasn't sure, because
Was I supposed to hold it a secret?
No, I mean, I didn't expect you to, because like I said, you're not very good at holding secrets. If you're excited about it. So, but
I was more in shock than anything.
Okay, let's just go through I guess how it happened.
Okay.
Because you had been, so I wasn't sure when or if we get pregnant. I wasn't sure what would happen, or how you would really say it, if you would surprise me or what. But because you kind of tested a couple times without telling me, and you're like, oh yeah, I tested yesterday or this morning or whatever, like later on in the day, and it was negative or whatever. So I was like, oh wow, you're just kind of doing it. Because last time you would pee on a stick, and then I would look and find out if it was,
we did it together,
good or bad. So this time you're just kind of like, yeah, I pee on a stick earlier, and I was like, you didn't even tell me you were doing that. So that's kind of where I was like, oh, maybe this one is going to be like a surprise, and you're going to do some crazy thing. I don't know. So I wasn't sure what to expect, but you can tell how you actually like.
Well, I've talked a little bit before on how I was a little bit hyper paranoid, especially like not having your period back at all. And then you hear about all of these pregnancy stories of people not even getting their period back. They realize they're pregnant, all of this, or something like that. So I bought all the like really cheap pregnancy test strips that you can get at Walgreens. And so one, that led me to test more often, because they're not like $10 a test or $5 a test. They're like cents on the dollar. So I can test more often. I had a lot of them, and I didn't feel the same pressure to have that positive. So it didn't affect me as much to have a negative when that happened, especially like early on. So I'm like, okay, it's negative, and we're moving on. And so what I didn't think about is, so I tested it and it was negative on a day where I thought, okay, it would probably be positive by now, just knowing when I supposedly ovulated. And we're going away on a birthday weekend for your cousin that weekend. So we're going to be out and about. There may be drinking involved. So I tested, and it was negative. I didn't end up drinking that weekend because there was another girl trying to conceive, so she wasn't drinking. So I was supporting by not drinking as well. I also didn't want to drink because I didn't want to feel awful.
And you had kind of tested a little early, and you knew it was like a little early.
I thought it was pretty clear that I wasn't pregnant if it was negative at that point.
Oh.
So I didn't think it was that early to test. And so it seemed negative. And then on Monday when we returned, when we woke up, you're like, oh, did you test this morning? I'm like, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to get my period anytime. I was supposed to get it that weekend. I'm like, I didn't, which was great. So I could enjoy the weekend, but I'm sure it'll come any day. And then I was in my head and then I was thinking about it and I'm like, well, those little strips, because they're so cheap, they're also a lot less sensitive. So you need a lot more pregnancy hormone for it to say positive. So you need to be further along for it to say positive. Rather, the more expensive ones, like Clear Blue, you can test positive like 5 or 6 days before a missed period. And the little strips are like the day or so. So that's like 5 or 6 days different, which is big. And so when I retested, one, also, I should note, I typically look and I'm like, oh, one line, and I throw it away. And so I looked quick on that Monday morning and I saw the one line. And so I was about to throw it away. And then I saw that like faint second line start to appear. I'm like, oh, wait, what is that? So that's when you were working from home. So I ran upstairs. I'm like, I need you to come see this because I want to make sure I'm not seeing things. And that's how you found out.
But you popped your head, like you ran upstairs, you popped your head, you're like, it's positive. And I was like, wait, what? And you're like, yeah, I tested, it's positive. And I was like, hold on. So I was more in shock. But yeah, that's kind of why I was thinking we kind of thought it was early, because I wouldn't have suggested you testing when we got home if I thought that it was like on time before, or like that it would have happened. So maybe we just had a conversation about the smaller testing strips being less potent and like needing to be further along in order to show something. But that's kind of where I was like, yeah, I thought it was a little earlier before we left, which is why you were still being careful and not drinking, and your friend wasn't drinking either. But
I was like 95% sure I wasn't pregnant.
Yeah, I wasn't convinced. I don't know. Maybe I just knew something in the back of my head. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I didn't know how you were going to tell me, but I was like, is this like, I was still kind of like, wait, what? And so you're like, come look at the stick or whatever. And I was like, okay.
So if we had a number 3, because we don't know if we're going to ever have a number 3, but if we did, you'd want to be surprised?
No, I honestly, I like to know as soon as possible. I'm like, I don't really, again, I don't have like a preconceived idea of like how I'd like to be told. I'm pretty simple.
Okay. I'll keep it in mind if we ever do that again. Yeah, I think that was how we found out and our reaction. Do you have any more to add to that?
No, just super excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're trying to conceive and looking for a natural way to better understand your cycle, I personally love and use the KEG fertility tracker. It's actually what I use while trying to conceive Danielle. KEG is a medical grade fertility tracking device that gives personalized fertility tracking through cervical fluid patterns in just 1 minute a day. Unlike ovulation strips that only predict a hormone surge, KEG helps identify your fertile window in real time. A few things I personally love about it: it's a one-time purchase with no monthly subscription fees or ovulation tests. It comes with a 12-month pregnancy guarantee or your money back, and you can use HSA or FSA funds to purchase it. If you want to check it out, you can use my code Functional Medicine for Moms for $20 off, and I'll have the link down in the show notes. Again, that's Functional Medicine for Moms for an additional $20 off the KEG fertility tracker. Yeah. And we told everyone, like our close people, right away, which is fun. I think jumping into how first trimester is going so far, we did tell people pretty much right away, especially like family, and then we ventured out from there. And I think first trimester is super isolating. You don't feel great. And then we have this like rule that we're not supposed to tell anyone. And the rule kind of stands, and some people follow it, some people don't. But the rule kind of stands because like if something were to happen, then you don't want to like, I guess, share the bad news to everyone as well. But then again, then it feels like you have this shame around if you do have a miscarriage, which we're trying to, I think, talk about a little bit more, and so we don't have that shame, because it is something that unfortunately happens, but when we keep it to ourselves, it feels even more isolating too.
Yeah, I mean, after going through a miscarriage, we ended up telling a lot of our family and close relatives and close friends that, like, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we're going through, so they were aware of what we were going through. And so, yeah, I think after having to tell them the bad news anyway, we were like, well, they might as well participate in the exciting part of it too. Like, that's what we kind of did for when we had Danielle. It was, we kind of told our friends and relatives a little earlier than we would have, because we're like, well, if it does end up being a miscarriage, and then we also just wanted the prayer early on, versus like waiting until after we get through the first trimester.
Yeah.
So we were like, yep, let's pray early and often and get people on it. So
there's power in prayer for sure. So yeah, with this first trimester, fatigue always hits me pretty hard, and I'm also, like I said, nursing as well as being pregnant. In your first trimester, you're making the placenta, the new baby. So you're like doing two things at once in the first trimester, which is also why I think it's like so hard. But then also no one knows really that you're pregnant. You're not visually pregnant. So people are like, I don't know why you're being so tired right now. Like, you don't look any different. But in reality, like, so much is going behind the scenes. And then nursing on top of that, just like probably is just taking a lot from me. So making sure I'm hydrated with electrolytes and making sure I'm eating enough has been like the biggest thing I'm trying to do.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of your symptoms are pretty similar to what we experienced last time we went through first trimester, as far as the fatigue and stuff. Your Achilles has been hurting as well, which is new. But new. Apparently that's a common thing.
Yeah.
Because like I'm like, you haven't been like doing anything crazy strenuous on your heel or anything like that. So, but yeah, I would say like a major difference this time though is having to manage a toddler.
Yeah, for sure. And so I have been trying to nap when she naps, which is great, because when I was pregnant with Danielle, I was working every day at the pharmacy on my feet. So at least now I can be off my feet a little bit more. And so I'd rather have it this way, I think, and then be able to nap for an hour in the middle of the day. But now I get less cleaning and other stuff done because I'm napping when I was doing those kind of things. But, yeah. Oh, spotting. So with our first pregnancy, that ended up in a missed miscarriage, so I never had any bleeding. Our second pregnancy with Danielle, I had some spotting, and I've talked about that before, and so that was really scary. There was a lot of blood, not just like a little bit of spotting, and it did stop like after half a day. And so there was a lot of prayer involved and waiting patiently or not so patiently. And it ended up obviously being okay. And so then this time I had some spotting again. And so anytime you're pregnant and you have spotting or see blood, I think it's pretty scary. And it was a little bit less scary because it happened with Danielle and everything was okay. But we got checked right away from my midwife and got HCG and progesterone checked. My progesterone was borderline low, so now I'm taking some stuff for that, but everything else seemed good, and we got the early ultrasound. We saw the heartbeat, and so yeah. And I've stopped spotting since, so we think everything's good. Obviously, it's still all early, but that's something to note that I don't hear a lot is like people spotting in the first trimester and how scary that can be.
Yeah, no, it's always scary, and it's hard because all you can do is like wait and see and wait and find out. And we've waited and found out bad news before, not from the spotting, but like been in that like waiting period and you kind of feel helpless. But yeah, no, it's happened 2 times now, and both times it's still been good news in the end. So yeah.
And progesterone is important because if your body has a significant progesterone drop, that can signal to the body to have a period, to like birth a baby, to expel what's in the uterus.
Don't the progesterone drops like that signals like contractions to start? Or is that different?
Yeah, it just like it can, start a period or birth a baby or like all of that. It just basically expelling what's in the uterus, which can cause contractions too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why checking progesterone, especially in the first trimester, especially early, can be really helpful to make sure it is optimized. And so if we need to help supplement that, that can be pretty simple to do. And then getting rest, regulating the nervous system, trying to reduce stress, all of that can be really helpful because progesterone, it can, what should I say? Because stress can take some of the precursors that progesterone needs. So the body will prioritize that stress and the fight or flight response instead of the progesterone and recovery and reproduction and all of that. So the more you can rest and regulate, the more helpful that can be too.
Gotcha. So that's been kind of like what's been different this time, what's been like harder, I guess along those lines too. You kind of mentioned having to breastfeed Danielle while being pregnant. So like, and you thought that's making you more tired.
I don't know if it's making me more tired or if I'm just tired because I'm pregnant. But I may wean a little bit when we're on our vacation next month. Or this upcoming month. So we'll see. I don't know if I'm completely ready to let go yet, but I also really don't want to tandem feed when I do have 2 kids, but we have a lot of time. But I also want her to forget about it when we have a newborn. So yeah, I want to have enough space so she's not also wanting to breastfeed when I have a newborn, because while I think the moms that do tandem feed are awesome and rock stars, that just looks really hard, and I think postpartum can kind of rock your world, and I don't want to make it harder than it already is.
Yeah, for sure. And you're probably also more tired this time too, just because you're chasing a toddler around.
Yeah.
In general. So.
Dealing with a lot of emotions, mine and hers.
Yeah. Well, that kind of segues into looking ahead to like 2 kids now. What are you like excited about, nervous about? What are your thoughts there?
We'll just do this quickly so we can end the episode here. But I'm excited to have a 2-year age gap. The second is due right around Danielle's birthday. So we're going to have 2 at 2 about. Hopefully the second one comes after her birthday, but we'll see. And yeah, I'm excited just to have like 2 babies and for Danielle to have a sibling. And I think it'll be really awesome to meet our little guy. No. We don't know if it's a girl or a guy or a boy or a girl.
Yeah, no, I think it's hard to imagine loving something as much as you love Danielle, but like we've talked about this before, and you're like, oh, your heart just grows, and I'm like, but like I just having your daughter be like your whole world, and then thinking of like having to then all of a sudden share that with another baby is kind of like, man, I can't even imagine. But I'm excited because it's just like, I mean, it's fun to watch, and it's fun to like be a part of, and but I'm excited to see Danielle be a big sister too, because she loves her doll and she takes care of it and rocks it, and we haven't even had to like teach her to do that. She's done that because she's rocked and like, you know, and taken care of in that way, and like the maternal instincts are just real in her, and so I feel like she's just gonna love up on any kind of baby. that'll be fun to give her a sibling to interact with and stuff. So
and be close in age with too. I'm really excited about the 2-year age gap. Like me and my sister are 3 years, which is great. But I think just like a little bit closer, you can do a little bit more things together, and it's just fun. And we can another time talk about more about going from 1 to 2. But I think people always ask like 0 to 1 or 1 to 2. Like what is harder? And I feel like 0 to 1, it just like changes your whole life. So I think 1 to 2, yes, there's more to that, and there's a lot less free time between us because one of us will likely have a child with us, but at least like everything is set. We're already mom and dad. We already have that going, and we already have a routine, and now we're just like adding another one to it.
Yeah, I've heard different things from different people. I've heard like going 0-1 is this huge life altering change, which makes it tough. But then going from like 1 to 2, you're like, oh, we've done this before, so you kind of know what to expect somewhat. But some people have said like going from 1 to 2 is like extremely difficult. It's like a huge change.
What?
Yeah, I've heard like it's like extremely hard. But then I have another friend that has 3 kids, and they said that like, going from 1 to 2 isn't crazy, but going from 2 to 3, then you're outnumbered, and it's just absolutely absurd. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like every addition has its challenges, and I think you just got to roll with the punches and figure out how to handle it. So
I'll say that I feel like 1 to 2 is hard when you like think you know everything because you already had one, and then the second one comes and they're completely different.
Yeah, first one's false advertising. Oh, that was easy. We got this. And it was like, no.
Well, not necessarily even different in a bad way, but just like different on how they like to be consoled, and different in their routines, and different in what they like. And like we learned with Danielle, like I thought you just get a bottle you like. You just get a bassinet you liked. And then you have this baby and they don't like those things. And you're like, okay, I guess we'll figure something else out because she said no. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's true. It's got to be flexible. Name of the game.
So, yeah. Landon, do you want to wrap up our episode with a dad joke?
Sure. I must be just thinking of a daughter because I picked this one. Why was Cinderella so bad at soccer?
She only had one shoe.
She kept running away from the ball.
That's good. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening.
Thanks for listening, y'all.
And we'll catch you next time. And we're so excited to share the news with you.
Woot woot.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to my podcast, Functional Medicine for Moms. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss one, leave a quick 5-star review, and share it with your mom friends who love it too. I'm Kelly with a background as a pharmacist and training in functional medicine. I help women move past fatigue, brain fog, gut issues, and hormone struggles so they can thrive in everyday life or prepare for a healthy pregnancy. Through lab testing, personalized supplements, and functional medicine coaching, I help you feel better, faster, naturally. Want to connect more? Head over to MolineMethod.com or come hang out with me on Instagram and YouTube at Functional Medicine for Moms. On my site, you can order professional grade supplements at my discount or book a free discovery call if you'd like to see how we can work together on your health. This podcast is for educational purposes only and not medical advice. Always talk to your provider before making changes to your health plan. And remember, healthy moms raise healthy families. Catch you next time. New episodes released every Wednesday.